All right, we're joined now by Richmond head coach Dan Chamati, players Zach Bigu and Max Merklinger. Coach will start with an opening statement.
Thanks. Just want to take a second to congratulate Cornell on another Final Four. Those guys, they had a lot of intensity today. They almost doubled us up in ground balls and rode us really well. Dominated between the lines. So certainly just a sign of just their intensity and how bad they wanted this one. So congrats and good luck to those guys. But just certainly overcome, by emotion, after the game, for these guys to my right and left and their other fellow seniors. These guys have done something for our program that's really hard to put into words. They've created a true sense of belief that every time we're going to take the field that we're going to win. And that has existed in pockets in the past, and certainly we've done some good things in the past. But to be able to go through this season with that sense every single game is a testament to our seniors and our senior leadership. And to be honest, I think it's bound to be program changing for what these guys have done and how they have taught the younger guys to go about their business physically and mentally as we continue on.
Questions?
And they obviously had a fair bit of possession there the last 20, 25 minutes or so in that game. How much did that, you think, wear on you guys, and just how many opportunities can you give an offense like that before it finds a way?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the possession discrepancy was. Um, our defense is so good that we can lean on those guys. What I felt like was the difference in the game was the transition that we gave up. Which I'll be honest is not like us. When I look at the stat sheet, is as hard as I felt like we played. Today I feel like some of the stats tell the story of just this probably are the most turnovers we've had in a game all season. Probably our one of our worst clearing performances, even against a non-10 man ride there, to get doubled up in ground balls, and for them to outshoot us by 19. Certainly, a lot of that starts with the ball on the ground, and again, just how aggressively Cornell went after those. But I think the reverse transition, we call it, giving up the transition for the other team, was really what hurt us, because I felt like our defense in the 6-on-6 was really stalwart for the beginning of the game and most of the game, to be honest. And we just Cornell stayed in it with that, with those transition goals.
Max and Zach, can you just reflect on what you've accomplished this season? Just first tournament win in program history, and just a goal away really from Final Four.
Yeah, super proud of the team. For the entire season, wanted to do something that no Richmond team's ever done, so we successfully did that. This feeling stinks, and I hope that the lessons that we've learned this season continue to reflect seasons to come, as well as the things that the seniors had to say, had to teach the younger guys. I hope it sticks. Because I know, because I have so much trust in Coach, as well as the guys he recruits, with all the talent as well as the commitment between each guy, that there's no saying this is it for those guys.
Yeah, I'd say I'm really proud of all our guys. This group is unbelievably close, and I think we show that out on the field. We never waver. I've said it a lot recently, but every time we step out on the field, the difference between this team and any other Richmond team I've played for is that we expect to win. And I think our team wore everything on our sleeve. We did. We made mistakes. It happens. That's what happens in lacrosse games. But I don't think anybody's ever going to be able to question our effort and our mentality going into every game this year. And I think that's something that we can pride ourselves on.
Dan, what were you looking for coming out of that timeout with 28 seconds left? And also, what did they do with Littlejohn? You only had one shot.
We were, coming out of that timeout, we were just looking to run a play that, we've run, a million times before. We just tried to disguise it a little bit. I can't tell it exactly. It looked like they went into zone, but we still had an open guy, and Joe. I think Joe made the right look. Again, haven't watched it, but from where I was standing, it looked like he made the right look. Just the pass was off. I think if those guys were able to connect, I think Lucas was going to have a good shot there. Olsen, was the right play. Certainly that's going through my head right now with, you lose a 1-goal game. We were just talking; those are the worst ones to lose, and there's a lot of questioning myself, in some of those play calls, just because these guys did such a great job, of making plays. When we were out there, maybe I should just let them play, a little bit. But that was the plan. With Little John, I think they were just, they were all over him. I think they were a little reluctant to slide, on the course of the day because, a guy like Lucas Littlejohn, makes you reluctant to slide. But a credit to our Dodgers, I thought they did a good job of, winning their matchups. Again, two assists is not, not common for us. Pretty unselfish team. I think we share the ball really well. So, but when I think back to a lot of our goals, we were able to win our matchup and get to the goal, without a slide. So, it seems like that was the game plan, and it worked well enough to, keep us from getting to 13.
Dan, you mentioned, this team expects to win. You had tournament experience before this, but what's the lesson about what it takes to win in the tournament now that you've experienced that?
I think the lesson that we probably have to learn here, and I think we learned certainly from last week to this week, is it's just another game. And I think when we showed up against UNC early on there was a bit of paralysis, and almost like we were a little tense, and what that led to was we weren't committal to things we had been practicing, since September. Almost like, oh man, this is the big stage. Like, I don't know if we should do this. I don't want to mess up. Or it's like, it's just, these are the things that got us here. Let's stay committed to them. So, we learned that from last week. I thought we were pretty committal, to most things today. I might watch the film and, feel differently. But I think it's just I think it's the belief that comes from the seniors. It's the compete level that these guys bring. I think learning how to win is very real. But I really mean what I said earlier. That has definitely existed in pockets in the past with our program. Okay, our program has done some good things in the past, but these guys are right. Every single game, that we showed up, there was an expectation to win. It wasn't like, oh man, I'm nervous here, like what's going to happen or whatever. So, but it's credit to these guys and their ability to create that sort of mentality for the whole team.
Dan, can you provide any insight of what Hunter was doing today, and Zach, can you just follow up with the toughness he showed just to finish that game out?
So I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Just any insights to what Hunter Smith was dealing with? You saw him leave the game a number of times and sub back in.
Yeah, Coach Richards rotates those guys, frequently. I mean, like you said, we played a lot of defense, so we wanted to keep guys fresh. We got, at least 4 close defensemen that we trust, quite a bit. Hunter is really unselfish. So, being taken out, when he's guarding the best player in the country, okay, there was no, selfishness in that or any, here or there. He knew it was like, all right, I'm going to get get a breath. Let's get back in there because, we may have said this earlier in the week. You got to defend these guys with, with all 10 guys out on the field. There's so many talented players there. So, to my knowledge, he's perfectly healthy, and coach was just rotating, him in and out just to make sure that guys had fresh legs as much as possible.
Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.